Imagine this: the first sip of coffee hitting your tongue like a warm promise, steam curling up into the crisp Colorado air, and the lake below your porch whispering secrets to the pines. That's how it started that morning, the one that would unravel everything I thought I'd built. I stood there, mug in hand, watching the mist lift off the water like a veil being pulled back from some ancient ritual. 8 years, 8 goddamn years since I'd clawed my way out of that fluorescent hellhole in Denver, where days blurred into nights under the hum of printers and the drone of endless conference calls about synergistic space utilization. Emotional square footage, they called it. Client-activated workflow nodes. Bullshit terms for soul-crushing spreadsheets that designed strip malls no one with a pulse would ever love. Now, this 45 acres of raw, unapologetic earth in Garfield County, a full mile from the manicured prison of Timberlake Haven, the suburb where neighbors policed your grass clippings like they were evidence in a crime scene. No HOA here. No covenants dictating the curve of your driveway or the hue of your goddamn welcome mat. I'd bought this slice of freedom with every penny from that last bonus check. Visions of calluses and sweat equity dancing in my head. Build a home with my own hands. Raise my boys under an open sky, not the flicker of office bulbs. Live without some busybody finding me for planting the wrong shade of petunias, and I'd done it. The house rose from the dirt like a defiant middle finger to my old life logs I'd felled myself. Windows framed to catch the sunrise over the ridge. The dock stretched out into the lake like an arm beckoning the horizon. Planks scarred from my hammer but smooth underfoot now. The gazebo, that was my masterpiece. 2 weeks of last summer's brutal heat. Cedar beams groaning under my weight as I hoisted them into place. Stain bleeding into my skin like war paint. Solar fairy lights dangled from the eaves, waiting for dusk to turn it into a constellation on the water's edge. Every nail, every joint it bore my fingerprints. This wasn't just a property. It was resurrection. Proof that a man could bury his ghosts and plant something alive in the grave. That morning felt like the payoff. Logan, my oldest, was turning 8. The kid who'd once asked me why city pigeons looked sad now bounded around the yard in nothing but swim trunks and a grin that could outshine the sun. "Dad, can we do the treasure hunt before breakfast? The map says the first clue's by the big rock." His voice cracked with that preteen edge, all energy and zero breaks. Emily, my anchor in this wild experiment, laughed from the kitchen window, her hair tied back in a ponytail that still made my chest tighten after a decade together. "Let him eat first, pirate captain. Pancakes or mutiny." We delivered on the birthday vision. Blue and red balloons bobbed like buoys between the oaks flanking the gazebo, their ribbons trailing in the breeze like victory flags. I'd fired up the grill early, the sizzle of bacon grease, a symphony against the lake's gentle lap. The cooler thrummed with condensation sodas for the kids, IPAs for the adults who'd trickled in from nearby ranches, and the odd towny weed charmed over coffee runs. By 11, the shoreline pulsed with life, wet footprints stamping the sand, Nerf darts slicing the air in lazy arcs, laughter ricocheting off the water like skipped stones. September in these parts is a teaser final flirt from summer before autumn bares its teeth. The sky was that impossible blue, clouds fat and lazy, as if the world itself had decided to show up for the party. Logan ruled the chaos in a pirate hat. I'd jury-rigged from cardboard and foil, waving a paper sword that flopped comically with every swing. Artateo. The marshmallows be hidden in Davy Jones' locker. Follow me. The swabs. The other kids, 5 or 6 of them, towheads and freckles, mostly trailed him in a giggling herd toward the dock, where I'd stashed clues in waterproof tubes. Emily manned the folding table under the gazebo. Cupcakes frosted in pirate ship swirls. Paper crowns stamped with Captain's Crew, and a bubble machine, churning out iridescent spheres that popped against the grill's heat haze. I flipped burgers with a spatula. That felt like an extension of my arm. The char scent mingling with pine sap and sunscreen. The sign 3 feet from the table caught the light block letters etched into weathered oak. Private property. No trespassing. It had been there since day one. Notarized and nailed firm. The lake ours down to the inch. A spring-fed gem, modest at maybe 20 acres, but surveyed DID'd and GP stamped with a 25-foot shoreline buffer. I'd even laminated drone shots with lotline overlays, tucked in my backpack for the just-in-case moments. Around here, confusion over boundaries was as common as elk tracks folks from the suburbs, mistaking wild for welcoming. That's when the hill betrayed us. I was midway through the second batch, patties hissing defiance on the grates, when movement flickered at the tree line. Not from the gravel drive, no crunch of tires or polite wave. From above, the slope rolling down from Timberlake Haven's edge, where their cookie-cutter colonials perched like vultures on a ledge. A figure emerged, deliberate, descending through the underbrush like she was parting a red sea of ferns. At first, I figured lost hiker, trail mix gone wrong. But as she cleared the shadows, details sharpened. Woman, mid-40s maybe, in a navy blazer that screamed boardroom exile. Tablet clutched like a shield, heels sinking into the soft earth but not slowing her stride. She moved with the entitlement of someone who'd never asked permission in her life, owning the air. The ground, the very goddamn oxygen. She didn't pause at the sign, didn't glance at the balloons or the kids shrieking over a Nerf volley, just strode into the clearing, skirt hiked against brambles, stepping over a picnic blanket like it was roadkill. The birthday playlists, some sea shanty remix faltered in my ears as her voice sliced through, amplified like a megaphone in a library. "Excuse me, who is the property owner here?" I set the spatula down slow, grease popping behind me like warning shots. Heat from the grill licked at my forearms, but it was nothing compared to the slow boil starting in my gut. Stepping forward, I wiped my hands on my jeans, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "That'd be me, Ryan Henley. Can I help you?" She pivoted, appraising me like a defective widget on an assembly line. Tight smile, the kind that hides scalpel's dental hygienist before the drill, or worse, HR before the pink slip. "Karen Beckley, elected president of the Timberlake Haven HOA. I'm going to need you to cease this unauthorized gathering immediately." The words hung there, absurd as a clown at a funeral. I blinked, then laughed a short bark of one that echoed off the water. Around us, heads turned. Emily freezing mid-pour on a lemonade, a dad scooping up a Nerf gun mid. Logan paused, his sword thrust, pirate hat askew, eyes wide as saucers. "This is my son's birthday party," I said, the laugh dying into something sharper. "Balloons and burgers, hardly the apocalypse." She didn't flinch, didn't crack a facade, just tapped her tablet, screen glowing like a judgment panel. "This area falls within the protected visual corridor of our community. Lakeside gatherings without HOA environmental review are strictly prohibited." I scanned the scene. 5 families max, 2 card tables, a bubble wand wilting in the heat. Visual corridor. The lake shimmered innocent, mocking her from 50 yards out. "Ma'am, we're not in Timberlake Haven. You're on private land." "My land. A mile out, give or take. Check your map." Her fingers flew across the glass. Then she thrust it toward me, a pixelated mess of lines and blobs. Resolution so fuzzy it could have mapped not. "The lake is clearly visible from several of our properties. As such, it falls under the Shared Environmental View Protection Code." She gestured vaguely at the grill, smoke curling like an accusation. "Furthermore, unpermitted docks and open flame devices constitute cause for citation." Emily materialized at my side, then, her hand light on my elbow, a tether against the red haze creeping in. "You're trespassing," she said, voice even as a horizon line, "and you're making the children uncomfortable." Karen's gaze slid to her, then panned slow, deliberate, like a security cam cataloging threats. Over the gazebo's fresh stain, the kids' flushed faces, the pier where Logan balanced on one leg, sword aloft, and then Christophone whipped out, camera lens glinting as it swept across the little ones by the water. Faces captured in pixels, innocent grins frozen for some digital docket. My blood turned to battery acid. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I stepped in front of the lens, broad as a wall, voice low thunder. "You don't get to photograph my guests, or their kids." One eyebrow arched, cool as a cucumber in a crack. "All unauthorized events must be documented. This will be filed with the HOA Enforcement Committee. You have no jurisdiction here." That rehearsed smirk bloomed, lips curling like she'd rehearsed it in a mirror that morning. "You've just violated 3 sections of our visual ordinance. The sheriff has already been notified." Emily's grip tightened, maybe to anchor me, maybe to keep the tirade from erupting like the grill's flame. I drew breath, tasting char and rage, glancing at the circle of faces now silent as a held breath. Logan stared up, thumb in mouth for the first time in years, unsure if this was quest lore or real villainy. While I managed, voice a steel wire, "Then I guess we'll wait for the sheriff." She smirked wider, pivoting on that blazer-sharp heel, ascending the slope like a queen reclaiming her throne. Balloons swayed gentle in her wake, cupcakes untouched on the table. I stared at the dock, the water's deceptive calm, the patties blackening on the grate. Then, mechanical, I picked up the spatula, flipped the next burger. Life, I guess. Doesn't pause for Karen's. It took 14 minutes exactly for the sheriff's cruiser to materialize at the drive's end, tears crunching gravel like bones underfoot. Slow and predatory, a bear scenting honey gone sour. Guests shifted, chairs scraped, sodas fizzled forgotten, whispers threading the air like spider silk. Logan sidled up, small hand in mine. "Dad, is someone going to jail?" I ruffled his hair, the pirate hat flopping. "Nah, buddy. Just a mix-up. Go guard the treasure, no one's stealing your marshmallows." But my gut twisted. 2 deputies emerged, the older one, face creased like old leather, eyes calm as a still pond. The younger, wired hand ghosting his belt like it might sprout fangs. Karen, of course, had staged her encore perched by the signpost, arms crossed, chin high as if presiding over executions. "Officers," she marched forward, tablet extended like Exhibit A. "Thank you for the prompt response. You'll want to document everything before they tamper with the evidence." The older deputy nodded, polite professional courtesy, then turned to me, boots scuffing dirt. "Afternoon, sir. You, the property owner, Ryan Henley. And yeah, this is all mine. I've been expecting a call like this someday." Karen interjected, voice a whip. "This is a blatant HOA environmental code violation. Open fire sans permit, unmonitored miners near open water gatherings exceeding occupancy limits, not to mention illegal structures. That dock, the gazebo, never approved. The deputy didn't blink, turned back to me, patient as stone. Proof of ownership if you don't mind. Anticipated. Prepped, I nodded, striding to the picnic table, unzipping the backpack. Manila folder, deed crisp as new snow, property lines etched in ink, certified GIS map from the county, drone stills time-stamped with overlays proving the mile buffer, even the parcel IDs scribbled on a sticky note, permits for the dock and grill transferred at closing, drone footage if you want the full tour. He leafed through, deliberate, the youngest scanning the scene, eyes on bubble blowers by the pier, not hostile, just thorough. A quiet chuckle escaped the older one as he closed the folder. Don't reckon we need the extras, Mr. Henley, everything lines up clean. Karen's jaw ticked a faint tremor. He faced her, tone unchanging. Ma'am, this ain't under HOA thumb. Private as they come. Man's got every right to host a shindig, fire up some grub, celebrate a birthday, but the lake's visible from Timberlake. Protest edged her voice, fraying the edges. It's integral to our visual environment. That's not how deeds work, ma'am. Flat as a slammed door. Unless you've got ironclad beyond bylaws, best not ring us up again lest it's bleeding. And fair warning, misuse of services for grudges. That's a citation waiting. Her mouth parted, argument brewing, but he raised a finger, gentle steel. She clamped shut, arms folding tight, lips a slash. I'll escalate to the board, she hissed, venom low. Enjoy your chaos. He'll snapped gravel like starter's pistol as she retreated, slope swallowing her silhouette. The younger deputy watched, muttering under breath. Someone's mainlining HOA Weekly. Older handed back the papers, a ghost of a smile. Apologies for the buzzkill, Mr. Henley. Fine spread you've got. Thanks. Burger before you roll. Tempting. Duty calls. Cruiser growled to life, fading down the drive. I turned, kids already reclaiming Nerf wars, adults exhaling like divers surfacing. Emily sidled up, plate in hand, eyebrow arched like a question mark. Well, she tried. Didn't stick, but her eyes mirrored mine. Storm clouds gathering. This wasn't punctuation. It was ellipsis. Evening draped the lake in velvet, the last balloon sagging like a sigh as sugar crashes sent, the kids tumbling into tents for a pirate sleepover that dissolved into yawns by 8. Emily and I cleared the gazebo slow, folding chairs that creaked like old bones, stacking plates sticky with frosting. Laughter echoes lingered, but so did the itched residue of Karen's gaze, her lens stealing slices of our day. Logan snored soft in his sleeping bag, sword clutched like a talisman. Oblivious to the fracture lines spiderwebbing our piece, I couldn't shake it. After tucking him in, flashlight beam cutting the dark like a scalpel, I walked the perimeter, past the dock's silhouette, black against the moon-silver water, past the grill's cooling coals, embers winking like guilty eyes, past the signs, stark white in the beam, up the slope where she'd descended, bootprints, faint in the loamy grass. Not from the road's civility but through the tree line, slinking like a fox in neighbors' hens. She'd assumed, invaded, and in that assumption, planted a seed of something uglier. Sleep dodged me that night. Emily's breathing steady beside me while my mind replayed the tap of her tablet, the flash of her screen. By dawn, I'd ordered the trail cam online, high res, night vision, motion-triggered alerts pinging my phone like a heartbeat. Installed it by noon, lens trained on the ridge, cloud sensed for remote eyes. If she or they crept again, I'd have proof etched in pixels. Paranoia, maybe, but freedom's fragile when you fought for it. 3 days later the mail slot clattered like a guillotine. Not a bill, a packet, thick and officious, in a folder embossed gold. Timberlake Haven, a harmonious community. Emily called from the porch, voice laced with that dry humor that kept us sane. Ryan, you're gonna want to see this one. Down the drive, mocking our placard like a challenger in the ring, a fresh aluminum sign, professionally etched, staked deep. Timberlake Haven Visual Preservation Zone. Access by authorization only. 10 seconds I stared, pulse sinking with the lake's lap, then yanked it free, roots tearing dirt, carrying it inside like a severed head. The letter inside, a masterpiece of malice. 3 pages, single-spaced, signed in Karen's looping script. Your recent uncoordinated lakeside activity has adversely impacted the visual harmony and environmental flow of the Timberlake Haven residential experience. Phrases leaped like accusations, visual burden, noise contamination across shared topographical zones, non-consensual landscape disruption. My favorite, a corrective suggestion to cease lake use, dismantle the dock, and petition the HOA for future utilization of shared view resources. Shed, as if my sweat equity sanctuary was a communal sandbox. I tossed it on the table, ceiling, staring back blank. They're escalating. Emily slid into the chair opposite, tea steaming calm. Cult vibes, minus the robes. Her eyes twinkled, but the undercurrent ran cold. We both knew this was siege warfare, bureaucratic edition. The real gut punch landed next morning. Phone buzzed like a hornet's nest, not family memes, but notifications stacking like accusations. I'd posted party snaps on my feed, Logan mid-sword swing, bubbles fractal in sunlight, harmless nostalgia, but this, a different beast. Karen had weaponized Facebook. Timberlake Haven's community group, 500 members strong, profile pics of golden retrievers and minivans. Her post to my grillside stance, mid-flip, smoke haloing my head like a villain's cigar. Caption: some think private land excuses polluting our shared oasis. When one neighbor flouts standards, we all pay in property values and peace. Stand with Timberlake to preserve our beauty. Hashtag HOA Harmony. Hashtag view protection. 50 comments already. A digital lynch mob brewing. Knew that doc screamed trouble. Zoning board. Safety hazard for kids. Pam dash with dash the dash sunflower dash avatar. Strangers by the watershed. Giardia Central. Who reviews these folks? Emily snorted over my shoulder. Printed. Fridge magnet. Local moms versus protozoa. Funny in theory, poison in practice. This wasn't chatter. It was reframing me, the quiet builder twisted into the interloper, the guy who'd sunk roots a mile deep. Now the weed choking their lawn. Later, a flyer under my truck's wiper, black and white, lake blurred ominous. Residents who's hogging your view. Unauthorized fires, ragtag crowds, mystery guests. No to reckless abuse. Call the board today. Volume. That's the play. She couldn't seize legally, so she'd drown me in paper cuts, social shaming, confusion, fog, make enjoyment the enemy. I started the war chest that afternoon. Digital folder blooming with scans, screenshots, comment threads. Photographed the signs, ghost stay cold. Narrated a video walkthrough, drone imagery unrolled on my phone. GPS pins dropping like bombs. Parcel 47-12-3. Deeded 2017. Buffer confirmed. No easements. No shared anything. Walking back from the mailbox now, a gauntlet of HOA stamped missives and realtor spammed for homes I'd never touch. I spotted it by the tree line near the lake. Not deer trail, not kid path, deliberate. Crushed mulch bordered in cheap plastic edging, snaking from the ridge's HOA trail straight to my gazebo clearing. Heart-kicking. I followed. It spilled into a bench, cedar, mounted firm, Timberlake logo branded into the slats like a cattle mark. Faced the water, scenic as a postcard lie. Silence hit like a slap. Then another bench, and another. 3 total, clustered like invaders claiming turf. Worse weighted. A platform, 10 by 12, elevated 6 inches on composite decking that screamed big box budget. Foam mats rolled out, blue-green, color-coded for casts. Beside bins tagged Mat 1, Mat 2, zip-tied to a shepherd's hook. Laminated sign, QR code winking. Scan it. Pulse in my ears. Timberlake Haven waterfront experience. Schedule unfurled Mondays. Gentle flow yoga, 10 a.m. Wednesdays. Lake meditation and toddler stretch. Saturdays, sunset couples yoga by donation. Limited to 10 HOA registered participants. No outside use. Blink, stroke, backed up, wide-angle shot gobbling the scene. Platform benches. Path like veins into my heartland. Marched the house. Fury of freight train that evening. Emails flew. County Land Use Office. Garfield Records. CCDA Realtor Buddies attorney contact. Attachments, drones, coulds, site screenshots. Fresh video me tracing the intrusion. Voice over gravel. This is my line. They'll lie. Dawn's reply from Danielle, recorder's office. Crisp, no nonsense. The voice of a woman who'd filed data. Mr. Henley, overlays match assessors plat. 0 easements, shared access, or HOA hooks, but pause, sigh heavy. Web crawl on their site lists your lakefront as wellness zone. Misleading, understatement. If fees flow for fake access. Fraud territory, especially recurring. Fraud, the word buzzed, not caffeine jolt, but vindication, venom. Not just ego. Monetized myth. Julio from land office rolled up midday, GPS unit beeping like a divining rod. We paced lines, his boots sinking mine, snaps clicking evidence. They built this sans a word, not a whisper. Ever green light HOA picnics. Hell no, he scratched stubble. Folks in for a rodeo. Paused at the platform. Mind a QR snap, for the boss. Illegal as hell. Dusk on the dock. Sky bleeding orange into water. Ripples mocking the calm. They weren't claiming dirt. Repackaging it my wild into their spa day. Selling serenity they stole. Thought I'd blink. They were wrong. Weekend blurred lumber run to Glenwood. Curtis's call shattering the mundane. Neighbor from the next ridge over. Voice tight as wire. Henley, you leasing the lake. 20 souls down there. Mats, kids, whole circus. Phone slipped. What? Organized. Like a retreat. Flutes or some shit warbling. Truck keys bit palm. 10 minutes blurred to the house. Trees whipping past like accusations. Through the fringe, it unfolded, gazebo thrumming, parents clustered on blankets, toddlers orbiting like chaotic moons, foldable speaker pulsed pan-flute, ambient, ethereal as a cult chant. Women in leggings stretched skyward on the platform, instructor's voice lilting, breathe into the root feel the earth's embrace. 20 feet from the pier, Karen clipboard queen. Bun severe. Smiled beatific like she'd birthed enlightenment from bureaucracy. Rage boiled. Feet carrying me down the drive. But fate, cruel editor, scripted the snapped off the toddler for maybe 5. Chubby cheeks flushed bounced Matejnia platform lip. No rail, no watch. One wobble, backward trip, and splash body arcing into the lake like a stone from a sling. Silence swallowed sound. Flute, warble cut, stretches, froze. Splash, echoing hollow. Then screams. Mother's dash. But I was motion for strides to dock's end. Shoes shedding in flight. Dive cleaving water cold as betrayal. Murky green closed over bubbles, my only map. He bobbed shallow, 3 feet down. Limb starfish eyes saucer-wide panic etched. Lungs greedy for air he'd gulped wrong. Arms hooked him. Surge powering us surface. Thrust him to her arms on the edge. Her wail roar as she clutched. Chaos crowned. Someone barked CPR rhythms. Chest compressions, tiny thumps. Another fumbled 911. Voice fracturing. Karen statue still clipboard. Limp eyes, saucer mirrors of the boys. Sirens wailed 6 minutes. Flat ambulance lights strobing the trees like accusatory beacons. Paramedics swarmed. Oxygen mask sealing his gasps. Vittles beeping fragile hope. Loaded and gone. Tires spitting gravel. Deputies. Same duo. Cruiser materializing like bad sequel. Older approached medripping shirt vacuumed 2 ribs. Shoes squelching mud. You again. Grimace half smile. Not elective. He surveyed. Mats strewn like casualties. Parents huddled shards air thick with chlorine panic. Organizer. Karen forwarded. Tremor and step. Community wellness. Believed boundaries allowable. Eyebrow hike. Permit. Insurance. Landowner nod. Silence abyss. Board assured younger snapped platform pics. Cutting. Private then. Private now. Ma'am. Can't believe into someone else's deed. Parents encircled. Mother's voice glassshot. HOA sanctioned. She swore. Invited us. Kid safe community funded. Karen paled parchment. Another. Donation online $20. Official. Deputy glances locked game over. Older notepad out. Trail cam footage. I pulled phone. Clip rolling. Karen herding the group. Platform point. Signs fluttering ignored. DA's office. He nodded. Trespass criminal. Endangerment reckless. Event unlicensed. Fraud civil. Karen sagged. Benchward. Clipboard savior no more. I passed her water sheeting off. Lake Dark Mirahan climbed homeward. What bloomed petty now festered felony. A child nearly ghosts because downward dog demanded my dock. Complaints. Nah. Armageddon. 2 weeks post-plunge, courthouse loomed in Glenwood Springs. Sandstone facade glaring under October's bite. I sat step side. Suit jacket draped arm like surrendered flag. Watching Karen pace. Beige slacks, stiff blazer same as party crash. Now threadbare armor. She looked hollowed house afire. Her denying flames. Courtroom brimmed. Her side. Bargain bin lawyer flipping binders. Her mouthing briefs like prayer. Opposite. Young couple boys, parents flanked by injury, shark, eyes predator gleam. Me center, folder 3 inches thick, pulse steady as deeded earth. Judge Carmichael silver temples. Docket weary banged order sans preamble. Karen's counsel opened. Misunderstanding, Your Honor. Social media hysteria amplifying neighborly snort rippled gallery. Prosecutor, sharp-suited, pounced, not spat. Orchestrated incursions, unpermitted events, uninsured Q are monetized on non-owned land. Minor need. Trespass, yes but fraud. Negligence layered. Exhibits rolled. Satellites, pinning lines. Drones time-stamped cam footage Karen site screen grab fees flowing. PayPal stubs wellness access export letter on forged maps. Air thickens judgment. Mother's stand. No theatrics. Voice scalpel. Community asset, she claimed. Kid-friendly, HOA backed. Line of sight access. Safe. Wouldn't risked my son. Karen shrank. My turn. Letters unspooled. Posts dissected. Signs cataloged escalation mapped. Visual feint to physical claim to harassment hail. Bureaucratized surrender. Pushed. They poisoned. Recess 10. Return. No varnish. Bench scene disputes aplenty. Carmichael gravel deceptive. Reckless. Entitled. Beyond pale. Gavel. Cracked verdicts. Karen libel trespass. Harassment. Misrepresentation. O $3 mil me ward. Used last fees. De-stress sold de. Family $600,000 blend. Her personal.org negligent. Murmurs erupted. Karen stared void. Prosecutor AG. Fraud filing. Maps faked fees phantom. Restraining 200 feet buffer. Comes severed HOA. Resident letters mandatory. Sins confessed. Bounds corrected. Programs axed. Deputy call later. Boards ousting her. Recall brewing. Member suing. Lake rippled wind. Time. I breathed. Year flipped calendar. Logan 9. Lanky now. Treehouse blueprints smudged on his desk. Plans first. Architect. I teased. iRobot sketches bloomed afternoon. Party doubled invite sprawled. Sheriff pals. Curtis's brisket haze. Lake gleamed accomplice. Grill symphony, Loganville and Valencluse with compass flare, cupcakes piled, kayaks raced, butt star, gazebo post, walnut framed, family, respect, private property, not for Karen, crowd guffaw, Emily petty chic, tasteful revenge, no haven shadows, board churned thrice, Karen, Aspen condo whispers bylaws, even she loathed, sun dipped candles guttered, champagne cork popped victory, boys dock danced, my build, chess settled, not relief, justice carved, peace profound, lands roar, drowning rules whisper, water held skies fire ripples my vow, freedom earned, eternal.